All right, today we're diving into one of the most powerful political satires ever written, George Orwell's Animal Farm. It's a story that, on the surface, is about a bunch of farm animals, but its real message is so much deeper and, honestly, pretty terrifying.
And we've got to start with this line. It's the most famous quote from the book for a reason. It perfectly captures how a revolution, a dream of a better world, can go so horribly wrong. This single sentence is the final, cynical endpoint of the whole tragic story we're about to unpack.
So, to really get Animal Farm, you have to know it's not just a kid's book about talking animals. You know, it's kind of funny. Orwell himself originally gave it the subtitle A Fairy Story. But trust me, its purpose is deadly serious. What it really is a political allegory. And what's that? Well, it's basically a story where pretty much every character, every event, stands for something else in the real world. The farm itself, that's Russia. And the animal's story, it's a direct parallel to one of the biggest political upheavals in modern history. Now, here's the kicker, the thing you have to understand about George Orwell. He was a socialist himself. He believed in equality. But when he looked at what was happening in the Soviet Union under Stalin, he was absolutely horrified. He saw those noble ideas of the revolution get twisted and corrupted by leaders hungry for power, turning a dream of freedom into a total nightmare of a dictatorship. Okay, so let's get into the story itself. It all kicks off at a place called Manor Farm, and it starts with this powerful, beautiful dream of a better world, a world where the animals are finally free from their human masters. The spark, the big idea that gets the ball rolling, comes from this old prize-winning boar named Old Major. You can basically think of him as a mix of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. He's the one who paints this picture of a future free from their lazy, cruel farmer, Mr. Jones, and gets everyone fired up for a rebellion. And they do it. They actually manage to drive Mr. Jones off the farm. It's this incredible moment. To build their new perfect society, they create these 7 commandments of what they call animalism. They paint them in huge white letters on the side of the barn for everyone to see. It's supposed to be the constitution for their new utopia. But you probably know where this is going. All that hope, all that excitement, yeah, it doesn't last. The cracks start to show almost immediately as a new ruling class, a new group of bosses, starts to rise up from within the revolution itself. So who takes charge? Well, the pigs, of course. They're the smartest animals on the farm. And right away, a new kind of inequality starts to form, centered around this intense power struggle between 2 rival pigs, Napoleon and Snowball. And this is where things get really, really dark. Napoleon doesn't just win a political debate, he seizes power with brute force, using a pack of vicious dogs he raised to chase Snowball off the farm forever. But that's just the start. He then holds these terrifying public executions of anyone who disagrees with him. And in the most heartbreaking betrayal of all, he sells his hardest, most loyal worker, Boxer the horse, to a glue factory just to get money for whiskey. It's a terrifying downward spiral from a dream of freedom straight into a nightmare of tyranny. So you might be asking, how does he get away with all this? One word, propaganda. Napoleon has this other pig named Squealer who is an absolute master of spin. Think of him as the ultimate PR guy. He constantly gaslights the other animals, making them question their own memories. He rewrites history on the fly to make Napoleon look like a hero and justifies every single selfish thing the pigs do. He basically convinces everyone they're better off now, even as they're working harder and eating less than ever before. And remember those 7 commandments on the barn wall? Well, they start to change. It's so sneaky. When the pigs move into the farmhouse and start sleeping in beds, the other animals are like, wait a minute, that's against the rules. But Squealer comes out and says, oh no, you're remembering it wrong. The rule was never against beds. It was against sleeping in a bed with sheets. It's this subtle, sinister twist that makes it all seem okay. And guess what? It happens again. After the pigs discover a case of Mr. Jones's whiskey, that rule against alcohol gets a little tweak. Now, suddenly it just says, no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. Pretty convenient for them, huh? But this next one, this is the most chilling one of all. To justify those bloody public executions, the pigs change the most fundamental rule of all. No animal shall kill any other animal becomes no animal shall kill any other animal without cause. And just like that, with 2 little words, murder is now perfectly legal on Animal Farm. Okay, so now that we've seen how the farm completely falls apart, let's connect the dots. How does this fairy story, as Orwell called it, line up with actual history? Because it's not subtle, it's a direct shot at the Soviet Union. This right here is basically the key to the whole book. Mr. Jones, the old farmer, he's Tsar Nicholas II. Old Major is Marx and Lenin. Napoleon the tyrant pig, that's Joseph Stalin. His rival, Snowball, that's Leon Trotsky. Squealer and his propaganda represent the Soviet state-controlled media. And poor, loyal Boxer the horse, he stands for the entire working class, the proletariat, who believed in the revolution but were ultimately betrayed. And those terrifying dogs, they're the NKVD, Stalin's brutal secret police. And it's not just the characters. Major events and even objects are symbolic too. That windmill they spend years building, it represents Stalin's 5-year plans. These huge industrial projects that were supposed to create a better future, but in reality it just led to immense suffering and worked people to death for the sole benefit of the ruling class. And all of this leads us to one of the most devastating conclusions in all of literature. The revolution doesn't just fail, it comes full circle, completely destroying every ideal it started with. Years go by, and the farm is totally unrecognizable. The pigs have completely abandoned animalism. They start walking on 2 legs, wearing Mr. Jones's old clothes, carrying whips, and drinking booze. They've become the very tyrants they fought so hard to overthrow. Eventually, they just wipe the side of the barn clean. All 7 commandments are gone, and in their place, they write one single new rule that perfectly captures their hypocrisy. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. The book ends with this incredible, haunting scene. The other animals, the ones who are left, are peering through the farmhouse window, and inside they see the pigs having a card game with the neighboring human farmers. And as they watch them laughing and arguing, the faces of the pigs and the humans start to blend together until they just can't tell the difference anymore. The message couldn't be clearer, could it? The revolution was for nothing. The new boss is exactly the same as the old boss. All they did was trade one set of oppressors for another. And so Orwell leaves us with this powerful, haunting question. Animal Farm is more than just a story. It's a timeless warning. It's a warning about how easily power corrupts, how ideals can be twisted and manipulated, and how a society can slide right back into tyranny if people aren't paying attention. And that's a warning that is just as important, just as relevant today as it was back in 1945.